Hi friends, how are you? Sitting in the backyard trying to make a video. I have chickens around me, so you're gonna hear clucking. We originally thought we were getting 4 chickens, 4 hens, and it turns out we got 3 hens and 1 rooster. So we have a rooster, and it's okay. It's actually really good. He keeps he's like an alpha dog that keeps the chicks and the hens kind of feeling safe, and they follow him around, and it prevents them from, I've seen him actually look out for predators and things like that. So okay, that's pretty good. We're pretty happy with that. So the chickens are amazing. We love it. The summer has been, just a really unusual summer because of all the rain and the flooding and the damage that we've had here in Vermont, which has been really sad and hard on one level. But I came in here today to talk about Paulina Portskova, which you may or may not know who she is. She is a former model, a former supermodel. She was on the cover of Sports Illustrated many times. She was famous in the late 90s, early 2000s. And she's, an Australian, I don't know if she's Australian, I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter, that's not the point. She has recently become well known for choosing to not have any kind of interventions on her face from plastic surgery or anything like that, as a sort of statement against, she's saying that she's trying to change the idea of beauty, and that that beauty should include aging women, as well as young and youthful women, which I think all that I'm pro all of that she's doing that, and I think it's wonderful, and I fully support it. I heard her on an interview. She was recently doing a big modeling thing in Europe, and she came back and she was doing an interview on, I think it was Good Morning America, and she made a statement, and it really just kind of got under my skin, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And she kept saying over and over again that women become invisible at a certain age. At a certain point, women become invisible. And I know what she means, and certainly I understand what she means. But at the same time, I haven't allowed myself to kind of be defined by that. And what I mean is that if at some point our attractiveness has an expiration date, right? That doesn't mean that we're not attractive. That doesn't mean that we are defined by that we don't have to be defined by that. If our culture says that only young women are beautiful, or that only young women should dress a certain way, or should have control over the way they dress and have choice and all of these things about the way they dress, and that women of a certain age should dress a certain way and all of that, we don't have to accept that. And I guess I've always operated on the assumption of that's just kind of how I'm going to live my life. I guess I assumed that all women did that. And when she kept saying it over and over again, it really was sort of, I was thinking about it for a while, and I started to think about knitting, and I started to think about how knitting helps us to define ourselves in the world as opposed to being defined by another. And what I mean is, I'm trying to think back of how I was in my 20s, and I think that I probably spent a lot of time dressing to please men and thinking, would this look good? And when I wanted to be attractive to men. And I don't do that anymore. I dress because I really like it, the clothes myself, and I knit to make clothes that have presence, and that have presence. And I think that's like my response to this claim of invisibility, right? Is that I'm dressing with presence. And so that, I think, as knitters of a certain age, and let's face it, that age is younger and younger, we're empowered. That's another wonderful thing about knitting, is that it gives us the ability to define how we look, and giving us a unique presence and so I just wanted to share my thoughts on that. I wondered if anyone else had any thoughts, if anyone else had seen that video of how do you feel about that we are invisible, and Does that bother you? Do you feel invisible? Because I don't feel invisible. I don't feel invisible in my day-to-day life. I feel like I have presence. So that's that on that. I'm going to talk about what I've been knitting. And it's been, so I had said a few months ago that I was going to do an Elizabeth Zimmerman kind of redo of Elizabeth Zimmerman's patterns. And so I did some of them. So I started with the raglan sweater in a blue. This is Cascade. I'm going to do another video where I wear them. I still have to, there's still really WIPS because I still haven't done the armpits or anything. But this is the sweater. This is the neck. This is the raglan sleeve. This is the body, and this is the ribbing. I did a split hem. With a shorter, high-low back. And I loved working with this yarn. I love the feel of it. I love the color of it. I love the collar. This is a basic, really simple sweater that I was looking to, I really wanted to knit something that based on the gauge of a sweater that really fit me well. Because I struggle with fit. I talked about that in another videos. It's all about gauge. I don't get the exact gauge and it becomes a problem. And I'm sorry, I keep looking to see if there's a chicken coming or something like that. And so this time I really spent a lot of time on gauge, and I measured it against a sweater that fit me, which is Elizabeth Zimmerman's. That's her advice about that. If you want a sweater to fit you really well, you should measure it against a sweater that fits you rather than on your body. And this was a quick knit. I used Cascade Eco Wool, I think, or not Eco Wool. I think I used Cascade. Maybe I did. Maybe it was Eco Wool. It was bulky, and it knit up really quick, and it was pretty easy. It wasn't my first raglan, but it was bottom up, and I would absolutely do another one of these. I love it. It's just going to be, I can tell I'm going to get tons and tons of wear out of this, and it's just going to be a really great sweater. I can't wait for the fall to wear that. The next sweater I made was the Hurry Up and Knit sweater that that's in Knitter's Almanac. Now, this is beware, because this still has so many, I haven't cleaned it up. This is the front of the sweater. Okay, again, I haven't done the armpits. So this sweater has a really interesting design. So I'm gonna hold it like this so you can kind of see how the shape of it is. It has an interesting design. Here's like a shoulder, almost like it's not a
saddle shoulder.
When you have the decreases on the shoulder, but in a way it is, because it does I'm sorry, I'm being very inarticulate. I'll find out and I'll write it in the comments what that kind of sweater is. You probably know what kind of sweater I'm talking about. But it does, so you decrease, you knit from the bottom up, and then you start to decrease when you get to the armpits. And then you also do a decrease at a certain point in the arm to kind of help the decreasing happen more quickly. This is a very oversized sweater. It's very thick. I used the yarn the gauge that she recommends, which is bulky, which is 2.5 stitches per inch. So I used, again, Cascade has a lot of bulky yarn, and I used their super bulky. I wouldn't do it again in that bulky weight yarn because it's just really heavy. It's a very heavy sweater, and it's, I don't know, it has a lot of, it's just unusual. It's like, I'm probably not gonna use this a ton. I'm probably gonna wear it outdoors. Maybe I will. What I like that I did in this that's different from Elizabeth's pattern is that I just did a roll neck, and I did a two-tone. I used the blue that I had left over from the turtleneck that I just showed you, and I did like a hem. I did an internal hem, and then and then sewed it down. Did that on the bottom hem as well. You can see my messy sewing on the inside. Here they come. Here are the little chickies. That's just the reality of my knitting. My knitting, I'm not a perfectionist knitter. I need to become more perfectionist. But so this is, I'm gonna wear this. I love the color. It's an interesting construction. When I block it, it will become, I haven't blocked either one of these sweaters or sewn up the armpits. I think when I do that, I'll be really happy with them. And yeah, so the summer has been, as I was saying before, it's really been a lot of rain. The garden has been kind of really not the greatest. We really have had a lot of bugs and a lot of problems, but everything that's undercover in our hoop house is doing really, really well, which is great. The tomatoes are doing amazing. The kids have been good. Sophie is going to, she's getting ready to go to Oxford in the fall. So she's going to be home. She's not home this summer. She's working in New York City, and she's got a great job, a great internship. I'm really happy for her. I'm going to actually go down on Tuesday and spend a few days with her and visit with her. Just miss her so much. It's always so good to be around her, be with her. And Max is doing great. Max is working at Bromley at the local ski resort. They have the alpine slide and all that stuff. So he's having fun, and there's the chicks. Aren't they so cute? I love these chicks. I have just become so in love with chickens. They are so funny and sweet, and they're just really interesting animals. They are, they're like, and I really like the idea of having more than one and seeing them in a group. I like animals in groups, and it's really hard for us to have more than one dog. We just don't have the space in our house. We have our house is pretty small. So to have 2 dogs would be a lot. And I just love having, a bunch of chickens, and now they're going on this swing. Let me see if I can turn it around so you can see them on the swing. They just jumped off. But it's so sweet. This coop that Mark made is amazing. He made a beautiful coop, and and the chicks just love it. And every night at 8 o'clock, they just get ready to go in, and they go to sleep, and they love their food. They love to forage, and they're so beautiful. So we got, just some chicken information. This black one here is a black Marin, copper Marin. She's really funny. We call her Clucky. And then we have the white guy is Pepe. He's the rooster that we thought was Beatrix, but no more Beatrix now. He's Pepe. And then the 2 little ones, which came in before, one is a Swedish flower named Pernilla, and the other one is a Beefelder. I think that's how you pronounce it, a German breed. This brown, she's so pretty. Her name is Princess. So just love having them. They just feel, it's such a rich life with the chickens and the garden and knitting and creativity. It's just such a wonderful, and I love the summer in Vermont. The summer in Vermont is so peaceful and beautiful. Even though it's been rainy, it hasn't been but this week is going to be beautiful, and I think finally we're going to have an end to all the rain before school starts again. But yeah, that's what's going on. I hope that you're doing well. Have an amazing rest of your Sunday. Namaste.